Well, tonight we have a number of stories lined up for you, including the president's trip to the Netherlands to attend a business forum. There's also the question of taxation. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga is weighing in and giving his thoughts, what he thinks about the trajectory of that plan. The government is also talking about an ambitious plan to decongest the prisons. And is there a health crisis really in this country, in the counties? Well, the counties is taking a position and they're talking about the funding where it should be. And tonight also, we'll be featuring your favorite program, the cabinet, and guess who's in it? Francis Lotodo. All that coming up. But first, let's take a summary look at what stories we've lined up for you tonight.
But as a party, we will try our best to ensure that this anti-people budget is not passed by the National Assembly.
Save Kenyans from taxes. Azimio Coalition dismisses Finance Bill 2023 as insensitive and unrealistic. A man of cloth of many bank accounts. Detectives probe Pastor Ezekiel's 16 bank accounts and 7 M-Pesa lines. Girls meet again. Mukumu Schools reopens 5 weeks after it was closed following disease outbreak. There you are. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mboya. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lucy Mwaura. Our socials at Mboya24, that's my Twitter handle, and at KBC Channel 1. Now, straight to our top story. The Azimio la Umoja coalition has dismissed the proposed finance bill as insensitive and a ploy to impoverish Kenyans. The coalition leader Raila Odinga says the proposals contained in the bill are unrealistic and will only complicate the weight of the shoulders of Kenyans who are already, by the way, grappling with a high cost of living. The opposition chief has instructed his troops in parliament to strike down the bill when it comes to the floor of the House. JJ Kuria is the one on that story tonight.
Bid to boost revenues to fund a 3.6 trillion shillings 2023-2024 budget, the government has proposed a raft of tax changes that will effectively expand the tax base. Part of the proposals include 3% contribution by employees and employers respectively to finance affordable housing projects, 15% withholding tax on income earned by digital content creators, 35% tax rate for income above 500,000 shillings per month, and the 30% tax on per diem allowances. The proposals have attracted outrage, particularly from the opposition.
The tsunami of taxes in that bill will bury everyone, especially the jobless youth and the poor struggling down at the bottom.
The opposition chief says the proposals contained in the bill are a slap in the face of promises made by President William Ruto on bringing down the cost of living and empowering those at the bottom of the economic pyramid.
We wish to make it clear from the outset that as a party, we will try our best to ensure that this anti-people budget is not passed by the National Assembly. We will instruct our members of parliament to have nothing to do with it.
The opposition wants government to deal with runaway graft and wasteful spending, as well as reduce what he termed as a bloated government.
Domestic and international travel, conferences, workshops, and training must be reduced, and they should be held in the offices.
In what promises to be a showdown between Kenya Kwanza allied legislators and their Azimio colleagues, MPs allied to the ruling coalition have vowed to resist any attempt to make changes to the proposals and want the bill passed in its current form.
Ile proposal ambaye iko huko ni kwamba tuweze kuincrease kidogo na tufanye changes kwa pande hii na nyingine ili tuhakikishe kwamba tuna cushion zile changamoto ambazo tumeipata kama taifa.
John Jacob Kuria, Prime Edition.
Right on to that story that is on the lips of many now. The courts have declined to grant controversial televangelist Ezekiel Odero access to his bank accounts amid reports linking some of the accounts to money laundering and other suspect transactions. In the ruling delivered at Milimani Magistrate Court, the courts granted the Director of Criminal Investigation access to his bank accounts. A section of bank managers have also been ordered to provide the DCI with relevant information as investigations into his more than 14 bank accounts begins.
The Milimani Chief Magistrate Court has ordered the managers of Cooperative Bank, NCBA, Equity, Kenya Commercial Bank, Housing Finance Company of Kenya and Safaricom to give the Directorate of Criminal Investigation access to all books relating to over 14 bank accounts linked to Pastor Ezekiel Odero as listed in the application.
So call out the next one.
The court has also blocked withdrawal of funds from the listed accounts. The court also allowed the police to investigate the televangelist's 7 M-Pesa lines in the next 30 days. The DCI wants the investigating officer, Chief Inspector Martin Monene, to be supplied with certified copies of the account opening documents, bank account statements, signatories of the accounts, electronic cash transfers for the period between January 14th, 2017 to April 30th, 2023.
My lady, you are being told.
Odero's 7-member legal team, led by Dunstan Omari and Cliff Mbeta, are however accusing the state of using unconstitutional avenues and mischief. Omari argues it is mischievous for the government to file a case in court in Nairobi while the matter is ongoing at the High Court in Mombasa.
This is the affidavit and these are the orders that they want us tomorrow to litigate. We have secured these ones from Nairobi and served our good friend and told him it is completely unheard of.
From 11 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So you must serve your documents by close of business today. Otherwise, we'll hear the application in the morning. We are alive to the expressions as to urgency. And indeed, that's why we fixed this matter for hearing today.
On May 3rd, Odero moved to the High Court in Mombasa seeking conservatory orders barring the national government from freezing his personal and church bank accounts. Odero, who was freed last Thursday after spending 7 days behind bars, also sought to have the court bar the government from excess and unilateral decisions that affect his church, school, restaurant and other businesses at the 65-acre parcel of land in Mavueni, Kilifi County. According to the Director of Public Prosecution, Odero is being investigated for at least 14 offenses that include murder, aiding suicide, abduction, radicalization, genocide, crimes against humanity, child cruelty, fraud, and money laundering. Irene Mchuma Udim, the Prime Edition.
Shift gears now. Mukumu Girls High School in Kakamega County has been reopened for the second term, but is being done in stages, with the Form 4 class being the first to report back. The institution was closed down temporarily, remember, on April the 3rd, following a disease outbreak which was blamed on contamination of food as well as water. The outbreak that left 3 students and 1 teacher dead and more than 500 students hospitalized saw a major reshuffle in the school. In the reshuffle, the then principal Frida Ndolo was replaced by Sister Jane Mboya, with the school board of management also disbanded.
The anxiety that once filled the air at Mukumu Girls High School is slowly being replaced by cautious optimism. The school was shut down temporarily on April 3rd following a disease outbreak. 3 students and 1 teacher succumbed to a disease which was blamed to contamination of food and water. Though some parents have confidence in steps taken by the government so far to ensure safety of students, some are not confident and they have instead opted to transfer their children to other schools.
But so far today, I've signed around 4 for those transferring.
On its part, the new school management has assured parents of the safety of their children. Since the contaminated foodstuffs were incinerated at Bamburi Cement Factory in Mombasa, new cereals have been counter-checked and certified as meeting health safety standards.
We are saying that the school is safe and your daughters will be safe in school because we've taken the right measures that we were asked to take. And I believe the school is safe.
The students are to report in stages and they'll be taken through guidance and counseling after screening before accessing the school.
In school, we have the psychosocial counselors who are dealing with the issues. Maybe if a student feels she needs to be counseled, she goes there. Back, we had requested their parents that they should take them to hospital so that they are checked. As they come back, they have come with their medical reports.
The parents expressed optimism owing to their inspection, presence of personnel from relevant ministries, and compliance with the Kenya School Health Policy of 2018.
The new principal has assured us that everything is well. The food that we were complaining about was ferried all the way to Mombasa, and the parents that we sent to represent us sent to us the clips, and we are now happy.
The school, which reopened today, admitted the Form 4s, with Form 3 set to report tomorrow. Form 2s will open on Thursday, and the final batch of Form 1s expected to report on Friday. Parsayo Frederick, Prime Edition.
That admission there faced in stages. Now, President William Ruto says that government is committed to making Kenya an attractive investment destination. Speaking in the Netherlands during a business forum, the head of state said that government has put in place incentives to attract foreign businesses. Here's that report.
Speaking on Monday during a business forum that brought together investors from the Netherlands held at The Hague, President William Ruto said the government is improving its one-stop shop facility to make it easy for investors to do business in the country.
In supporting your investments, the government of Kenya has put in place both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives that include, among many things, capital deductions on industrial building, I'm sure you're aware of this, farm work, wear and tear, and investment. Others are in the special economic zones and export economic zones.
He told the investors that the government has resolved the bureaucratic VAT refunds.
A specific intervention we have put in this budget is one thing that has always been problematic to our investors, and that is VAT tax returns. It's always been problematic. The decision we have made is that any VAT tax returns that are due and verified, if they are not paid within 6 months by our Kenya Revenue Authority, you are free to deduct whatever amounts from your other tax liabilities.
The president also appealed to foreign investors to inject their finances in the affordable housing project, preventive healthcare, MSMEs, and the creative economy. He noted that the country was facing a shortage of houses, especially in major cities.
Well, that story on the president speaking in the Netherlands at a business forum brings us to our first break right here on KBC Prime Edition. We're just taking a short break. We'll be back shortly. Do stay with us.
What am I forgetting? Nini. Workers paid. Rent checked. Mlango locked. Visiting yes. Goza mzae silitoa jana la internet sorted. What is it? What am I forgetting?
Nini, nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, weka neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
The fast life really is harder, so now I try to be there.
Welcome to the biggest, the baddest entertainment show in the 254.
Yes,
everybody's watching right now.
Tell a friend to tell a friend that this show is on. We are beginning and we are about to give you the best of the best in entertainment.
Then vibe hapa ni noma sana. So without wasting time, twende kazi.
Fans were treated to captivating performances by some of Kenya's finest artists, including the melodious Afro-electropop star Mutoria, Angela Hitmaker Butros, Ndovuku, Rapa Wangeshi, and the rap trio of Wakadinali.
Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Ni kubwa, ni mingi, ni tamu, ni yako na ni moto.
Tumengojea sana show ya Kikenya ambayo inatuelewa na inatujali na pia inajumuika nasi katika magumu ya maisha.
Guess what? We have it. The Lotto Moto Show! Uko na uwezo wa kujishindia hadi 2 million Kenyan shillings kupitia draw yetu popote unapotutazama.
Na tuko na haja ya kusikia story na magumu unayoyapitia. Tutakuita kwenye show na tutarahisisha mahali.
Nafasi za wageni watatu zipo katika kila show ambao wanajipatia fursa ya kujichagulia sanduku moja kati ya 12. Kila sanduku liko na zawadi kem na za kipekee. With lots of fun, lots of prizes and money. Lotto Moto, only on KBC.
Welcome back, our socials at KBC Channel on my Twitter handle at Mboya24. That story that we talked about earlier, the government has set aside 1 billion shillings towards modernizing prison facilities as it embarks on an ambitious plan to decongest prisons by 50%. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, who was on a familiarization tour of Mboya GK prison, also revealed plans to mechanize prison farms to enhance food security. Timothy Kipnusu with the details.
Monday morning at Mboya GK prison in Kirinyaga County, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki was on a tour of the facility. The visit comes as the government plans to modernize correctional facilities. It is here that he revealed that the government has set aside 1 billion shillings towards modernizing prisons across the country.
In another 1 month or so, we'll have a new modern correctional services policy for the Republic of Kenya. A policy that will look at our correctional facilities as places of rehabilitation of offenders and supporting them to reintegrate back to society.
At the same time, he acknowledged the current challenge of congestion in prisons across the country, saying his ministry was working with the judiciary as well as exploring alternative dispute resolution mechanisms to ensure petty offences are dealt with expeditiously.
Tunataka wapewe bond, wafanye suspended sentences, wafanye community service uko nje.
His sentiments were echoed by Correctional Services Principal Secretary Mary Mudhoni.
You could help us to consolidate the court users committee to really form a bond with them so that we are able to fast track some of those cases. There's one thing to take them to court and there's another thing to fast track the cases through judiciary to ensure that they are justly heard and given the priority that it deserves.
We are looking for ways we can use. We call them alternative dispute resolution. Tuone wale watu wako na makosa kidogo kidogo, wametolewa hapa, wamepelekwa pengine wamefungiwa kwa chief. Mtu aliimba kuku na ako hapa shwali.
We are very sure
that those correctional reforms, which was started by the former president, Vice President Mboya, that you take them now.
The Interior Boss also revealed that 2 billion shillings has been allocated towards mechanization of prison farms to enhance food security.
We are going to mechanize all our prison farms that are arable across the country with new equipment, including tractors, combined harvesters, and depending on the crops, different agricultural implements and equipment and farm inputs to make sure that we modernize the productivity of our prison farms.
With the government racing against time to ensure the decongestion of prisons is realized, the increased rate of crimes in different parts of the country appears to be the stumbling block to the noble cause. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition, Kirinyaga County.
Timothy Kipnusu there. Now, counties now want government to fund KEMSA to ensure steady supply of drugs into the devolved units. Council of Governors Health Committee Chairperson Muthomi Njoke said that the health sector is facing a major financial crisis. He's also calling for patience among the medical interns as the counties struggle to absorb them. In January, out of 1,000 interns, only 800 were absorbed, leaving 200 in waiting.
The Council of Governors Health Committee Chair Muthomi Njoki has decried an influx of medical students being churned out by both public and private universities. Njoki, who is also the Tharaka Nithi County boss, says that contrary to the past, more medical students are graduating, a number that county governments are having a hard time absorbing.
Kwa hivyo daktari wamekuwa wengi kuliko vile walikuwa zamani. Na hiyo program ambayo ilikuwa imewekwa kwamba inapatia madaktari ambao wametoka university nafasi ya kufanya kazi kwa mwaka moja ndio wapate experience, na wakati huo pia huwa nalipwa, imekuwa ngumu kidogo kuabsorb wote ama kuchukua wote.
Njoki is now calling for patience from the 200 interns that are yet to be absorbed, with those already posted urged to reconsider engaging in industrial action.
It does not augur well when you're told the interns have gone on strike or go slow, because how can you go on go slow when you're an intern and you've not been employed? What will happen when you get employed? There should be a better way of negotiating so that you can eventually get absorbed in the service.
In the meantime, Njoki has called on the national government to bail out the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. He says that limited resources have led to a shortage of medical supplies to the devolved units.
What is so hard about bailing out KEMSA? Because it is true they're out, but we need them. So unless we get either alternative means or the bail out KEMSA, we will continue having a gap.
He spoke at Mlolongo in Machakos County during the induction training of the 47 county medical directors. The induction workshop intends to address challenges facing the health sector, including scarcity of resources, inter-county transfer of medics, working relations between medics and community health volunteers, infiltration of private clinics, and pharmaceuticals within government health facilities and quack medics.
So we need to address issues of inter-county transfer, issues of promotions, and issues of timely payment of healthcare workers. Because the issues that there is are just a few, complex, requiring a lot of money.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Now, poor residential planning in the countryside and encroachment on riparian land is one of the factors exacerbating effects of climate change, especially in flood-prone areas. Information Communication Technology and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo says that while the government will provide long-term solutions to address the flood menace, there is need for those residing in riparian land to vacate to safer grounds so as to minimize destruction during floods.
These are the scenes that grace our screens every year as Kenyans across the country bear the brunt of floods. Hundreds of thousands of households displaced as the fury of Mother Nature reigns supreme. While the situation can be blamed on many factors outside the control of those residing in the flood-prone areas, encroachment on riparian land and poor residential planning in the flood-prone areas is very much within their arm's length.
We have been weak in terms of planning. This is a historical problem, not just in this region, but go to places like Kisii, you will see the effect of poor planning. We need to do map out so that we are aware of which are the residential areas, which are the areas which are designated for agriculture, which are the banks of the rivers and the lake where people should actually not be resident.
Information Communication Technology and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eludo Walo now says Kenyans who have encroached on riparian land need to vacate to reduce the effects of the floods.
So people are living everywhere because we don't have adequate planning on one hand, and also we don't have an appropriate legal and regulatory framework on the basis of which enforcement of the same can be anchored.
While addressing residents of Diboro in Alego Songa constituency, Siaya County, as he led the government food distribution program amongst those affected with the recent floods in the region, Walo said the government will do everything possible to ensure a long-term solution is found to address the destruction of property and crops occasioned by frequent flooding in parts of the country.
As far as the floods is concerned, we want to do desilting so that the water can flow towards the lake as opposed to downwards towards where people are doing what? The families are resident. But we also want to do dikes in some of these areas. When it comes to the major floods in Nyando, we want to ensure as government that we pursue the Korusoin Dam to a logical conclusion, because that Korusoin Dam is going to support or address three fundamental issues. One, we can use that for purposes of power generation. Two, we can use that for purposes of irrigation, so that during drought, we have got adequate water.
He also wants Kenyans to embrace agribusiness as a long-term solution to food security. Walo spoke as he wound up his 3-day food distribution program in Nyanza region. The CS kicked off his program in Kisumu County on Saturday before heading to Mboya County on Sunday. On Monday, he distributed food in Siaya and Migori counties. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Kisumu County.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash star 811 star 963 hash.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Now, he was among the longest serving MPs in Kenya, an unshakable defender of his Pokot community who gave his all for the people that he led. This week on the cabinet, we focus on Francis Lotodo, who served as a cabinet minister in President Daniel Moi's regime.
He
first became a member of parliament for the larger Pokot in 1969 before it was split into 3 constituencies: East Pokot, South Pokot and West Pokot. He was then re-elected in 1974, 1979, 1983, 1988 and during the multi-party elections of the 1990s. In 1993, Lotodo was appointed Minister for Home Affairs and Heritage. 4 years later, in 1997, he was swapped position with William Olentimama of the Ministry of Local Government. After a cabinet reshuffle in 1999, he was moved to the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources. As Minister for Environment and Natural Resources, Lotodo defended the illegal allotment of Karura Forest in Nairobi. Lotodo was an ultra-conservative and a stubborn stickler for adhering to traditions. His rigid traditional opinions often antagonized other Kenyan communities. In 1993, he went on record as having given members of the Kikuyu community an ultimatum to leave Pokot district or face eviction by the locals, accusing them of denying the Pokot their livelihood. He targeted the same community before the 1997 general election. This behavior not only cost him a cabinet post, but also landed him in jail. He, however, changed his stand in 1998 after Moi placed him at the forefront of brokering peace between the Pokot and the neighboring communities comprising the Turkana, Samburu and Marakwet. Lotodo passed on in 2000, aged 60, in Johannesburg, South Africa. He was then the Minister for Energy. Jacqueline Macharia for the Cabinet.
Well, it's time now to look at the day's business, and Wairi Munjanga is on the other side.
Thank you, Tom. Tonight we have a story on some of the mixed reactions that Kenyans are raising regarding the Finance Bill 2023 and also the illegal power connections across the country that Kenya Power is ensuring there is a countrywide campaign. Now we started off. Kenya tax experts have raised concerns with the government tax measures in the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget. Deloitte East Africa says increasing the tax will hurt the most vulnerable in society. Deloitte tax leader Fred Omondi says the government should explore creative ways of expanding the tax base and creating a conducive environment for investment and job creation. The National Treasury submitted the Finance Bill 2023 to Parliament for consideration and enactment. The bill has elicited mixed reactions from various quarters, with taxpayers saying some of the new tax proposals are unsustainable.
The proposal to pay taxes within 24 hours or in some instances within 3 days. This might be administratively very cumbersome for taxpayers, and this is one of the proposals that we probably would need to review together with the members of Parliament to see whether 24 hours is ideal.
Fred Omondi, a tax leader at Deloitte East Africa, says some aspects of the Finance Bill 2023 need to be relooked at, as they are only targeting a few select taxpayers and those in the formal sector whose income has decreased over time, attributed to hard economic times.
The timing in terms of the challenges with the economy, the global slowdown, people are coming out of recovery in terms of COVID. So a lot of incomes are depressed, and so when you load extra taxes on the taxpayers, then you are likely to impact them negatively.
Omondi says the proposal to increase turnover tax from 1% to 3% on gross revenue for businesses will make it hard for small businesses to comply, as the cost of compliance for SMEs with income above 15 million shillings will be higher, as they will have to maintain accounts, prepare tax computations and generate electronic invoices, among others.
The turnover tax was supposed to be a more friendly tax regime for the SMEs to be able to make it easier for them to comply by paying tax on gross revenue, as opposed to maintaining accounts and paying tax like big corporates.
They say the proposal to increase VAT on fuel from 8% to 16% will have a spiral effect, which can lead to an increase in the prices of products and services, urging the government to review the levies on petroleum products.
There are actually close to 7 levies that are imposed on fuel products. So when you look at it in totality, we say that for every 100 shillings you spend on fuel, maybe over 50 shillings is tax, and levies that are going to the government.
These taxes tend to be regressive. It doesn't matter whether you're a border rider or somebody who's using the petroleum product from a manufacturing value chain. So you can expect the cost of living, whether in the form of just basic transportation services as well as other production costs, then going to be increasing because of this change.
The government has rolled out a countrywide campaign to weed out illegal power connections and curb theft of electricity. The Ministry of Energy says it's also pushing for a review of the Energy Act to make it more punitive for people convicted of crimes like vandalism and illegal power connection. This comes as police in Mboya, Nairobi County, netted more than 80 kilograms worth of copper wires belonging to the Kenya Power hidden in Go Down. Now, the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation is edging closer to starting to generate and produce and distribute electricity. This after the Senate gave the parastatal the go-ahead to start processes to amend the Energy Act of 2019 to allow Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation generate electricity through subsidiaries in a bid to reduce the cost of power.
The Kenya government has been keen on a proposal that will see the Kenya Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation become an electricity retail distributor in Kenya. Under the proposal, the Kenya Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation will be tasked with distribution of the electricity to small consumers, while Kenya Power deals with commercial clients. This is through an amendment of the law to expand the corporation's mandate.
It is important we look at how we can give REREC some additional mandate. If it's not clear and expressed in the act, then we give REREC that mandate, because moving into the future, the grid is increasingly getting closer to those off-grid sites.
We either allow REREC to own companies, and those companies are audited individually to generate power and supply power in certain areas.
So we need to weigh, do we allow REREC to go to generate, or do allow them, we get also another competitor for Kenya Power to distribute power? Because Kenya Power has proved to be very inefficient.
The Kenya Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation says it has been forced to pay Kenyan fees for running the Garissa solar plant due to its limited mandate, forcing it to pass over the additional cost to consumers.
The assets remains the property of REREC and by extension the government of Kenya. What we have done is we have contracted Kenyan, whose mandate now is in running of these stations, for operations and maintenance of the station, and we pay for that.
The Senate has asked the Kenya Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation to consider revising their power sales agreements with Kenya Power to denominate it in Kenyan shillings instead of the US dollar.
It has been possible for you because your input was in yuan, your repayments are going to be in yuan. You should have agreed with Kenya Power that is the currency you're going to pay, but it is not for us to say.
Benson Druba reporting for Prime Edition.
What am I forgetting? Workers paid.
Rent mlango locked. Visiting out of gas. Goza mzae silitoa jana la internet zote. What is it? What am I forgetting?
Nini? Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number weka neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
Will your children sleep hungry when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table?
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. You're still watching KBC Business News. Kenya will collaborate with Indonesia in the production, processing and distribution of edible oils if the two countries agree on a bilateral deal. The Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry says 9 priority sectors have already been earmarked to diversify the economy, create employment opportunities and foster sustainable development.
Indonesia produces about 90% of the globe's palm oil, a staple agricultural commodity found in about half of all packaged consumer products. The commodity, however, evoked fears of depletion in the peak of COVID, with the country only temporarily lifting the export ban imposed in March this year. Kenya is now looking to make use of this opening through a bilateral trade agreement that would focus on the self-production of edible oils, where an agreement could significantly reduce the price of the commodity. Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria is leading a high-powered government delegation to Indonesia on a 3-day talk to strengthen bilateral ties and explore trade and investment partnerships. During the visit, Kenya is seeking to forge investment ties and promote exportation in 9 priority sectors, namely mining, renewable energy, pharmaceuticals, blue economy, meat and livestock, electric mobility, textile and apparel, and horticulture. The business ties will also signal an ease in the exportation of goods, especially for small businesses. Kenya is keen on enabling manufacturing and service industry players and trigger possible direct investments. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has lauded the role played by the UK in trade and development partner for Kenya during a meeting with the British High Commissioner to Kenya, Jane Marriott, this morning. Gachagua emphasized that the government is keen on enhancing security in northern Kenya, which has vast land with potential of contributing to Kenya's food security. The discussion centered around security in the northern parts of Kenya ahead of the upcoming Kenya-Somalia-Ethiopia borderlands project, a cross-border project seeking to enhance peace and stability and strengthen social and economic diversity in the border areas between Kenya, Somalia and Ethiopia.
A secure and stable northern Kenya is the best thing for this country because we can be able now to put resources there to do food production and get people busy and support the rest of the country. country. Northern Kenya is our priority in the sense that they are vast lands with great and huge potential for food security. If we can open up that area by doing roads, connectivity to electricity, and then dams and irrigation, we would, in a very comprehensive manner.
Kenya and Ethiopia have been the two anchors of stability in your region. With the civil war in Ethiopia, Kenya has looked a little bit lonely at times, holding the fort of stability across the region. And so the thing that particularly excites me about this project is it's a time when you can export that stability into two of your neighbours and mutually reinforce each other at the national, the sub-national, but also the community level as you operate across the border.
Well, that marks the end of tonight's business news. But do not go anywhere. Karen Kibet is coming up next with the sports update. My name is Oiri Mojenga. Have a good night.
Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
The fast life will be harder, so now I try to be there.
Welcome to the biggest, the baddest entertainment show in the 254.
Yep,
everybody's watching right now.
Tell a friend to tell a friend that this show is on. We are beginning and we are about to give you the best of the best in entertainment.
Then vibe hapa ni noma sana. So without wasting time, twende kazi.
Fans were treated to captivating performances by some of Kenya's finest artists, including the melodious Afro-electropop star Mutoria, Angela Hitmaker Butros, Ndovuku, rapper Wangeshi, and the rap trio of Wakadina.
Sports News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Kurumisha ndege. Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now delve into sports matters. Olympic 200 meters silver medalist Kenneth Badnarek of United States and 4x100 meters relay world champion Aaron Brown from Canada are among foreign athletes who arrived in the country today on Monday for this Saturday's Kipkeino Classic Gold Tour at the Kasarani Stadium. Other athletes who are already in the country include American sprinters Shakari Richardson, Kyra Jefferson, Twanisha Terry, and King Kyrie, reigning men's javelin thrower world champion Anderson Peters from Grenada, and sprinter Jerome Blake of Canada. Over 204 international athletes are expected to compete in the core event of this year's event, which will be preceded by national events. Kipkeino Classic is the third Continental Tour Gold label event this year after the Australia Championship in February and the Botswana Grand Prix in Gaborone late last month. Athletes will use the one-day championship to qualify for the World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Hungary, slated for August.
It's my first time here. I'm just looking forward to competing in front of a crowd that would really much appreciate javelin because, Julius here was a javelin thrower from Kenya. So, I'm looking forward to a great supporting crowd for the javelin event.
The people are great. I love the atmosphere. The food is great. And just, like I said, just the track meet in itself, it's just a really good meet for us to compete at. And that's why, I'll keep coming here because the host here has been very good to us. And
Ishan Samani emerged the winner of the 5th leg of the U.S. Kids Golf Spring Local Tour held at the Thika Sports Club. The event attracted 140 players aged between 5 to 18 years.
Ishan Samani had a score of 88 gross to win the 15 to 18-year-old category ahead of second-placed Kashugra Sharma and Kyunjuri Mathu, who was third in the 5th leg of the U.S. Kids Golf Spring Local Tour. In the 13 to 14-year-old age group, Shashwat Harish was declared the winner with 76 gross, ahead of Sevi Soni and Ronan Patel, who were the other podium finishers. In the girls' categories for those who played 18 holes, Antonia Mboya and Cherise Washira both scored 93 gross, but Mboya was declared the winner in the 15 to 18-year-old age group on countback. 145 junior golfers competed in the tournament that provided an excellent opportunity for junior golfers aged between 5 to 18 years old to showcase their skills and compete against their peers in an age-appropriate competition. Meanwhile, Mteke Simba Football Club were crowned kings of Rai Super Cup after edging Gangari Football Club 3-0 in the final played at Mwangulu Playground in Kwale County. Mteke FC scored their goals in the second half through Rama Dudu's brace and Omar Saidi after playing to a barren draw in the first period.
Huku mashinani pia watu wajue kuna talanta. Shukrani kwa viongozi kwa sababu hao wamefanya huu mchezo uonekane kuwa usikike mbali, na hapa kuna watu ambao wamekuja tu kuangalia youth talent. Hatuwezi jua, labda mmoja atasportiwa, labda mwingine na afanywe trials. Kwa hiyo ni shukrani sana kwamba mkoko umealika maua. Hii ni ya kwanza, majaliwa mwezi wa 8 mambo yatakuwa haya. Waheshimiwa ndio hawa, na mimi nikiongea na wao si wanakuja.
10 teams competed in the tournament, played in a period of 3 months. All the 10 teams were awarded uniforms and balls each, while the top team pocketed 50,000 shillings cash prize. The first runners-up went away with 40,000 shillings and second runners-up 30,000 shillings. The fourth team was rewarded with 20,000 shillings.
Thank you, Buckley, for that report. Moving on, the game of rugby has now been introduced as a major sporting discipline in Narok, previously a county associated with athletics. Narok Rugby Union Chairman John Njoroge introduced the game as he seeks to help showcase Kenya's diverse talents in various sports.
The game of rugby is growing fast in Narok through the organization of many tournaments. In one of the tournaments seeking to give a chance to players from that region showcase their rugby talents, Ma Warriors Rugby Club played against Nakuru RFC and Molo RFC.
Our purpose of starting this exposure or this project, rugby project in Narok Town, is to eliminate the norm and also encourage our youth that we can do or we can play rugby in Narok.
There are tournaments that are coming up in November. I would also want to add the local businesses to support our youth through sports. In whatever they do, they can give them jerseys, we can support them with balls, we can buy for them boots, so that we can help each other.
The growth of the sport has been boosted by the county government, which grants teams from the area free access to play at the William Ole Ntimama Stadium.
Leo tunashuhudia kuanzishwa rasmi kwa Rugby Union ya Narok na pia kuzinduliwa kwa Ma Warriors RFC ambao ndio timu ya kwanza kabisa ya rugby hapa Narok. So kwa niaba ya county sisi tunashukuru sana kwa sababu hii ni kutimiza maelekezo ya gavana wetu Patrick Ole Ndutu ambaye tunajua kwamba yeye ametilia mkazo sana katika mambo ya kuimarisha talanta za vijana.
In addition to tapping talents, the tournament was aimed at promoting values such as drug-free living and preventing early marriages.
Thank you, Nora, for that report. Leicester City's Premier League survival hopes suffered a blow as they were beaten 5-3 by Fulham at Craven Cottage. Leicester remain just above the drop zone on goal difference with relegation rivals Nottingham Forest, who play later tonight.
They could slip out of this league. They could be in trouble here as well as Vinicius finds Tom Kearney onto his right foot and he makes it 4.
Now finally, Dutch Formula One superstar Max Verstappen extended his title lead in the Drivers' Championship after he won the Miami Grand Prix. The Red Bull driver was in a class of his own as he carved through the field to win the event despite starting 9th on the grid. It was a masterful performance from the two-time world champion as he beat teammate Sergio Perez on track, who finished in second place. Both teammates registered maximum points as they finished first and second place, with Verstappen claiming the fastest lap of the race to spearhead Red Bull's top of the standings. The podium pace was concluded by veteran driver Fernando Alonso, who continues to boost Aston Martin's chances of competing for the Constructors' Championship in his first season racing for Aston Martin. And that story brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports news. For now, have yourself a peaceful night. The bulletin is not yet over, as after this short break, my colleague Mboya will be back with more. Don't go too far.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Nafasi yako ya kuwa mdosi wako. Jiunge na washindi, tufanye biashara. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet.
Well, we care about your views here on KBC Prime Edition, so you can speak to us on our social channel, on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, hashtag Prime Edition, and my Twitter handle at Mboya. Well, that brings us to the end of this live broadcast. On behalf of the entire team, including Lucy Mwaura, our sign language interpreter, I want to thank you for watching. Tomorrow is another day. I'll be back again tomorrow at 9. So see you then. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm Mboya. Bye-bye.